Liverpool were the half-12 game, watched it, went out Saturday, went to North Berwick, Old Toos, watched it in the pub with my brother. My Uncle Glenn joined us for kind of the last 20 minutes. Liverpool were absolutely excellent in the first half. Again, talking about handbrake off a derby game where you can be a bit cautious, but you're the home team. You've got to go and take it to them, and you've got to set the tone of the game. And Liverpool were absolutely excellent. Ryan Gravenberch and Hugo Ekitike, who get the 2 goals, absolutely sensational. I'm going to do players of the week. Player of my week last week was Shankland. My player of the week this week is Ryan Gravenberch. I mean, sensational holding midfielder. Also getting forward. He used to play as like an 8 and a 10 as well. He's kind of multifunctional in that sense in there. He's been huge for Liverpool. What a turnaround is. What a job from Slot to kind of coach him and get him to be that player. So he's player of the week for me. He was absolutely phenomenal. And the finish, the ball from Salah-esque, which we've seen in the last kind of 18 months, being the provider. And Gravenberch just does so well to loop it over the goalkeeper, over Pickford. It's just a sensational finish, and he was just everywhere off the ball as well. He does everything. He covers the spaces. He just does absolutely everything. Hugo Ekitike gets the second goal, and he's just been phenomenal, and he looks like he knows he's up against Isak, who's going to be the big signing for the bigger money, who's probably, you would say, when it comes down to it, probably going to be Slot's first choice. But Ekitike saying, listen, I ain't getting pushed out of the way, and he's playing free. He looks like Torres, his body build, the way he moves, the way he plays. There's a moment where he has a little flick in the game. It's absolutely excellent, and he takes his finish well, and he's confident. And I tell you what, it's 2 hell of a number 9s that Liverpool have. It's obviously an upgrade on Nunez, and unfortunately, Diogo Jota, for how much I did love him, and obviously an absolute great legend at the club, especially with what's happened to him. It's probably 2 forwards that are upgrades on Jota and Nunez from last season. And yeah, Ekitike is just, it's no problem if he's starting games ahead of Isak, and he absolutely deserves it. And look, Slot keeps saying he needs to adapt to the league, he needs to learn it. Obviously, we know Isak knows the league and has proven himself 20 plus goals a season. But I mean, I can see Ekitike doing a little bit off the left if you want him to. So huge from them. Great first half from Liverpool. He doesn't start Florian Wirtz, which was very interesting, but if you really think about it, probably quite right. He's just not quite got the grasp of it yet. Wirtz, he doesn't quite know where he fits himself in a team. I always find it with number 10s, like, I think of God, if I'm going all the way back, like Francesco Totti off the top of my head. But if I even think more recent times of Liverpool with Coutinho, and he kind of played a little bit more off the left and came inside, and it sounds like that's what Wirtz did at Bayern Leverkusen, and where people feel he's best fitted, just listening to podcasts and watching videos about people that do the Bundesliga stuff. But I always feel like a number 10, it's really hard to fit them in the team sometimes and work out they want the ball all the time and they're the guy that it dictates and goes through. But if they can't quite find their spaces and quite find where they want to go, they're almost a bit wasted. And the midfield just looked a hell of a lot better yesterday in balance with Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai, who obviously is the midfield 3 last season. So they know each other, and Wirtz doesn't, and that's obviously something to think about too. But it looked a lot better, and even for a derby game where you think Everton are going to try and make it a bit physical and do that, those 3 in there, McAllister for his size is very strong. We know Szoboszlai's got the energy, and I've talked about Gravenberch, and he's a big, tall, lanky boy. The midfield just clicked a lot better without Wirtz, and I've obviously said Ballon d'Or winner and stuff, and maybe a bit caught up in the price tag and that. But in my head, I just thought Arne Slot and Liverpool, and listening to how he was at Feyenoord, and he was a number 10 himself, I thought everything's just going to go through Wirtz, and he's going to be getting the goals and assists, and he's going to be unlocking teams. And it hasn't happened yet, and it hasn't. And Szoboszlai and McAllister and Gravenberch are the ones that know it and are doing it well in there. So really bold call from him too. Look, there's a lot of games as well, a bit of rotation, and Liverpool have the ability there to rotate. He brings them on, and funny enough, he does play off that left-hand side. Has a couple of little moments, but again, struggles to kind of get into the game. So huge call from him there. Huge call. And then again, from a Liverpool point of view, it's 2-0 up. And, Jack Grealish had a decent game. I thought Connor Bradley did defend him really well, really, really well. Grealish is gonna get by you, but you have to play tight to him, and you have to accept there's going to be 1 or 2 times he's going to spin you. And he does that, but I thought overall Connor Bradley and the boys handled him really, really well. He puts in the ball back post. It's a great little touchdown from Ndai, who's a great football player. And it's a great finish from Idrissa Gueye. I mean, it takes a lot to beat Alisson, but it's hit it hard. It's almost in the top corner, I think, pretty much. It's a great finish, 58th minute, and Everton came back into the game when Liverpool went 2-0 up, and you could see Liverpool sat back and kind of had that in their head about the whole 2-0 thing. But I was saying this to Matthew in the game, and if I have a little look here at the kind of stats and everything there. If we look at the momentum graph, after Liverpool do go 2-0 up, you can see Everton have the full momentum heading into half time. And then again, really in the start of the second half, scoring the goal and including after it. And then it kind of is a bit even out. Liverpool come back into it for about the 70th minute for about 10 minutes or so. But if you look at it there, 11 shots from Liverpool. It says they've only really had one big chance, which is probably the Ekitike goal. Would you class Gravenberch as a big chance? Probably not. But it's got Everton as 0 big chances, and Liverpool had this a lot last season too, where even if it was 2-0 and stuff like that in games, it's kind of like that boxing. It's keeping them at arm's length a little bit. Yeah, it was Everton had the ball and they had the impetus, and Liverpool were sitting a bit deeper. I can't remember a ton of saves Alisson has to make, and I think the big chances says 0. I think when you're in it and you're watching it and you're feeling it, it's totally different. And then when you take a step away from the game, and I was thinking about it yesterday and this morning before doing this, did Everton really threaten that much? And I think the answer is no. I don't think I'm looking at it from a biased red goggle eye. Yeah, it felt a little bit nervy, and at the end, the ball goes out for the throw in there, and David Moyes is running along the sideline and trying to get Everton going, but Liverpool kept them at arm's length for me, to be honest. And yeah, absolutely, I'd rather have that stayed at 2-0 or they gone 3-0, but it didn't feel like, it wasn't like a battering, and it hasn't felt in any of these games like a battering. So, I think Slot will look at it from that sense of view. But Everton again looked good. They have the attackers. They start with Beto up top. It doesn't really work. I think that move works a lot better when you're playing at home and you can dictate the game more and you've got your home fans there. I think at Anfield and playing away, look, there'll be moments in games where it does work and sometimes the game pans out that way, but it just didn't on Saturday and it didn't quite work for them. And, the difference was they obviously bring on, what was the boy called? Is it Gary that they bring on? What a name, by the way. Yeah, Barry. Thierry Barry. They bring him on for Beto. There's not a lot of changes, there's not a lot of difference, and we know Liverpool have Ekitike and they bring Isak on and Wirtz off the bench. So look, Liverpool are the more stacked team. They're the better team. They've spent all the money, absolutely, and the gulf is huge between the two clubs. But yeah, I didn't think Everton did too well, and it looked like there was a lot of complaining and a lot of moaning about time being added on and stuff. And Liverpool again are just in that zone, as I said last week, where I just remember saying all the same things about Fergie's Man United team, and they kept chugging away and they kept winning and they kept winning league titles and they kept doing well in Europe and they won a couple of Champions Leagues. And it becomes a DNA of the club, and that's just the phase that Liverpool are in right now. And yeah, it's really enjoyable to sit on it from this side. But yeah, I think that's my overall thoughts on the game. I thought Van Dijk's battle with Tarkowski was brilliant. He really enjoys it. He's been unbelievable this year. I think Van Dijk's always been on it, but he looks really, really focused to retain the league title. It's something this squad haven't done. And I think he can play for a couple more years. He doesn't look like he's dipping off at all. He's maybe not quite the 1v1 defender that he was, but he's aged and he's had his ACL injury. And I thought Kanate was brilliant again. So yeah, solid from Liverpool, really solid. Kerkez had another really good game, and look, Everton will be absolutely fine this season, and they should be looking to aim to float around in that top half and maybe sneak into a Conference League spot, if not potentially a Europa League spot. So good performance there from Liverpool. It's another 3 points. It's 5 from 5.